It begins, as most tragedies do, in the quiet spaces no one looks at twice. Bakersfield, California, a stretch of suburban calm on the edge of desert wind. Rows of low houses, their lawns fading in the October sun. Nothing here screams danger, nothing whispers madness. Until it does, they say every home hides a story. And in one small house off a silent street, that story was about to break open. Inside lived a 71-year-old man, Alfred Juarez Jr., retired, quiet, predictable. A man who kept his blinds half closed, his tools in perfect order, his routine measured by sunrise and local radio. He had one son, Alfred Jr., 38, a man who drifted more than he worked. Neighbors said they saw him sometimes, walking up the driveway with that strange mix of pride and anger only family can provoke. To them, he was just another grown son coming home to visit. But what he carried inside wasn't love. It was debt, resentment, and a belief that his father owed him something he would never give. For weeks, Juarez Jr. had been talking about money, $5,000 to be exact. He said his father had promised it to him. Others weren't so sure that promise existed, but obsession doesn't need proof, only fuel. What happened next didn't start as a plan. It began as a thought, small, intrusive, poisonous. The kind that burrows under the skin until it starts to whisper, "You deserve more." On a cool night, sometime after 9, the quiet in Bakersfield turned heavy. Streetlights hummed. A thin drizzle began to mist the air. At the edge of a cul-de-sac, a motion sensor blinked red, one small eye, watching what no human should see. The footage, later recovered by police, would play in every officer's mind for days. There was Juarez Jr. walking up the path to his father's door, no rush, no panic, just the slow, deliberate calm of a man who's already decided what will happen next. He knocks once. There's a pause. The door opens. Inside, his father stands in a halo of lamplight, confused at first, then tense. Words are exchanged muffled, sharp, impossible to make out. But the movement says enough. A step forward, a shove, then chaos. The camera can't catch everything, just flashes of motion, a struggle near the doorway, then stillness. And in that stillness, the shape of betrayal. Later, investigators would note how quickly it all unfolded. Seconds. That's all it takes to destroy the only person who ever called you son. When the act was done, Juarez Jr. didn't run far. He took the keys from a small table by the door, walked outside, got into his father's car, and drove away calm, almost mechanical, like someone finishing a chore. He didn't look back, but the neighborhood did. A few hours later, one of the neighbors noticed the front door ajar, the porch light still burning. She called police, uneasy. It was near midnight when the first patrol car arrived. Inside the house, silence. The TV still playing an old western, a cup of tea gone cold beside an open newspaper. And there the evidence of what had happened, as unmistakable as the cold wind that moved through the broken doorway. By dawn, Bakersfield detectives had pieced together enough to issue an alert for the missing car. It was found less than 10 miles away, abandoned near a convenience store. And inside that store, minutes earlier, security footage caught a man buying a bottle of water. His hands were shaking, his clothes marked, his eyes distant. It was Juarez Jr. When police approached, he didn't resist. He didn't ask why they were there. He simply said, "I know what you're here for." In the interview room, the tape would capture something that unsettled even the most seasoned detectives. There was no denial, no emotion, just a flat, almost rehearsed explanation. He said his father owed him $5,000, money he'd demanded, money he was entitled to. He said his father refused, that he'd lost his temper, and then the words that froze the room, "I don't feel bad about it." One detective leaned forward and asked, "You're telling us you have no remorse?" Juarez Jr. shrugged. He had it coming. Outside, the rain had begun again, streaking the station windows with thin gray lines. Inside, the recording continued, the low hum of fluorescent lights, the scratch of a pen, the sound of a man completely untouched by what he'd done. News spread fast through Bakersfield. Local papers carried the headline, "Son arrested in death of elderly father." Neighbors stood behind crime scene tape, whispering fragments of disbelief. They replayed small memories, the last wave from the driveway, the sound of a lawnmower, a man who said good morning every day without fail. How could someone who lived just a few feet away do this? But evil, real evil, doesn't always come roaring in. Sometimes it comes quietly through a door that's opened too quickly. As investigators built their case, they discovered patterns, debts unpaid, arguments unending, a history of resentment simmering beneath the surface. In text messages, Juarez Jr. wrote about being cheated, about how his father never respected him. Each word was a fragment of the storm that would eventually break. The coroner's report confirmed what police already knew. The struggle had been brief but brutal. There were signs of confrontation and then silence. No chance for mercy, no moment for reconciliation. And in that silence, the story of a family ended. Weeks later, in court, Juarez Jr. appeared in a standard orange jumpsuit. Reporters noted how calm he seemed, how his eyes didn't wander to the family members seated behind him. When the judge read the charges, he didn't flinch. When asked if he had anything to say, he said only one word: no. It wasn't anger, it wasn't grief. It was emptiness, the kind of hollow space that swallows everything around it. To the outside world, it looked like a crime over money. But to those who've studied human nature, it's something darker, that small fracture inside the human mind where entitlement turns into hatred, and hatred into justification. It's the moment a person decides that what they feel matters more than another person's life. And maybe that's why this story lingers. Not because of what happened, but because of how ordinary it began. A son, a father, a debt, a quiet house in Bakersfield. The day after the arrest, detectives returned to the scene. One of them stood in the living room, looking at the family photos still hanging on the wall. Birthdays, graduations, Christmas mornings, long gone. In every picture, father and son stood side by side, smiling, unaware of the line that would one day divide them forever. Sometimes, true horror isn't found in monsters or strangers, it's found in the people we share a roof with, the ones who know our voice, our habits, our weaknesses, the ones who can walk through our door without knocking. As the case moves through the courts, the community still drives past that house. Some say they see the porch light flicker late at night. Others say the motion sensor still clicks on by itself, even though no one lives there anymore. Maybe it's just the wind, or maybe it's something else, because certain places hold echoes. And when a life ends in betrayal, those echoes never really fade. They stay in the walls, in the silence, in the spaces where love once lived. And somewhere in the dark, the question remains: what is a debt really worth when the price is blood?